What is happening in Austin Men's Development? It is July 2nd, 2020. And I want to talk about something that's really important when it comes to men's development, because we as coaches or guys who've been doing it a long time like me, it's almost 15 years for myself, we run into similar problems over and over again. What is a waste of time? What is a lost cause? What damages men? When do I cut people off? When do I kick them off? When do I ban them? And so on. Why I'm bringing this up is because it's relevant on the board today. And if you've been paying attention, that's what we're going to talk about. First thing first is I don't want to throw anybody under the bus publicly. They don't deserve that. But if you've been on the board and you've been paying attention, one of the things that you're going to get is that there's conflict and dispute and people think different things. When it comes down to men's development and who you are, what you are, all these different things. I know it's going to come from a bunch of different angles. I'm a coach. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not any of those things. I'm not trying to be. I will say that I have a ton of experience with that, and I have a ton of experience with working with people who have really, really hardcore problems. So I'm always around drug addicts. I'm working constantly with them. I've worked in multiple rehabs. I work hand in hand with a lot of people, anything PTSD, trauma, addiction, really, really bad stuff that's almost incomprehensible in this group to talk about. Dude, Link, what's up, dude? What is up? Oh, one of my favorite people in the world. So we're doing this live stream on Austin Men's Development. So one of the things is that I get from that is that it takes a ton of opportunities and chances for people to make real change. When you work with addiction, you work with people who've done some really bad stuff. And when, people are talking about abuse and harm on here, that's real. You need a space for that. When you're talking about trauma that you've had, you need a space for that. This is my world. And in the addiction world, it's handled in a certain way. It may be different than your way, but it's really bad. And this is interesting because I'm doing all these interviews with different people. In fact, I was just messaging my social worker friend who kind of bounce a lot of ideas off of her. But when it comes to drug addicts and trauma and, growing up in foster care and sex abuse and all these things, it's compounded or called complex trauma or complex PTSD. It's way different than a lot of other people's. Now, that doesn't minimize somebody else's trauma, but sometimes you go through a divorce or, your parents get divorced or, one of your parents dies. This is a terrible thing and it needs to be worked on. This is terrible. It's really bad. It's going to affect you for the rest of your life, but it doesn't have to be bad. And it's easy to overcome because you have points of reference, right? Let me rephrase that. You can overcome it. You have to work at it. You have to work at it very hard because you have points of reference of what reality is. And a lot of the people that I work with don't have any of those points of reference, meaning they were born into adoption. I mean, man, this one girl I know, her mom was a prostitute, gave her to the pastor of a church when she was 5, and then spent the rest of her life being raped by the pastor's kids. I mean, and the pastor himself. There's no point of safety in that or sanity in that. And so that is coming from a much different place. I'm going to tell you right now, when those people get into a point of recovery or a point of normal function in life, they never complain about the system or society being their priority. Okay, let me actually rephrase that, because they could be critical and very effective about the change in society and what needs to happen, meaning they petition the courts, meaning and this is actually rare, this is like maybe the 1%ers of them. They become very active in ways that work. You do not see them sitting online bitching and victimizing themselves and buying into this whole thing of victimhood. And this is really, really terrible stuff. So you take these people that have this horrific life, the 1%, or maybe it's like 4% of them that get better, then stabilize themselves. They never complain about victimhood in the same way that I see men and women that are hyper politicized right now. Now, you take that 4%, let's say, and I don't know the numbers on this, but then you get about 1% of them, very small amount, that are hyperactive, right? So they work in rehabs. They work as social workers. They work with people and dedicate their lives to it. They help the system, right? They campaign and lobby to change laws. They do amazing things. You hear a very different story about healing. So when I see people here bitching about their lives. And I get the pain, man. I get the pain. I get the pain. I get the pain. I get the pain of divorce. I get the pain of not seeing your kids. I get the pain of coming up in an inconsistent environment. I don't know what it's like to come up in a broken home. I get all that. And if you want to be so pigeonholed and judgmental and thinking that you've thought things through, but never worked with anybody with major problems and jump right to judgment, to me, this is an obvious thing where it's like, hey, you're masking your feelings for judgment and logic and all these things which are right. And we do need to look at judgment and logic. We do, but it needs to communicate effectively through the world. I mean, man, if you really get into the system of addiction or abuse or all these different things, and man, in like some of my friends in the abuse world, it's so crazy. If you really get into that, right? And it's not like your baby mama manipulating the kids. Like I'm talking about like really, really fucked up abuse where kids ended up in foster homes. When you get into that, dude, man, it's so much different. And this is where I'm hypercritical of hardcore feminism or third wave feminism, of men's rights, of all these different things, because we have these real life problems that men go through and that are terribly painful, and real life problems that women go through and are terribly painful. And we're politicizing them to benefit ourselves and what helps us now. I do not see hardcore men's rights people really helping men who've been hurt. I do not see hardcore feminists really helping women that are hurt. I see feminists that are doing that, but I don't see the online megaphone people doing that. And that's disturbing to me. So bring this back to the whole stuff going on here. I get your pain, man. I get your pain. I get that. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to want to kill myself for every day of months, of 2 months of thinking about that daily, sometimes hourly, because I'm going through a terrible breakup and my family's being ripped apart and my whole reality's done. What do I do during that? What do I do? Right? And actually, let me not be so harsh on this. What do I do when I'm not mentally healthy, right? What do I do? Reach out to a therapist, mental health professional, reach out to a group. I call 5 people a day. I get out and be active. I'm around people constantly, and I get into the bare minimum solution of what I can do, and I do it. Now, how did I get there? Because I've overcome like tremendous issues in my life. Things like, why do I work with addiction? Why do I work with abuse? Because these are things that happened early on in my life that were amazing gifts, actually, but they were terrible and they made me feel terrible. But the coming back from that took hard work. So bring us up to speed here. We get into this dialogue of men. And I'm just going to tell you right now, in my opinion, and I'm wrong all the time, but this is my board. And it goes the way that my board does things. But you guys are gossiping. You guys are talking shit. And there's a time and a place for gossip and talking shit when you're in so much pain or so much confusion that you have to do it. But you're not in the solution. And this is what I want to get to. What did you do today to make yourself better? What is your image of yourself to make yourself better? What happens when you're in pain, and what do you do? What is the story of when you were in so much pain that you were able to overcome it? How did you do that? How did you do what men have always done best? I get our society's different. I get there's problems. Man, I want to solve those things, but I do not want to solve society's issues and effed upness and blindness with a blind man in pain trying to, point the finger of blame with arrows in his back. He doesn't even know to remove them. He doesn't even know to heal himself. He doesn't even know the importance of that. And in that, you as a man don't know where strength comes from. And that is disturbing and weak. So we fast forward to what happened today. I have wasted at least 2 hours of my day trying to talk to somebody who I know well, I know well enough, and I'm trying to talk to him. If you don't know this, we have admins on this board, and there's 16 of them, and they all said, get rid of him. Get rid of him. Now. Ban him. He was not welcome before. We were tentative about having him back in the group, but get rid of him. I eventually got rid of him, and it made me think, man, I should have listened to those 16 guys telling me to not let him back on the board, and I did. And the same exact problems happened. Same exact problems. Same thing. It was identical. And I've known him for 9 years. The identical thing happened in the previous group. Identical. It was an entrepreneur group. That makes me think I need to make harder rules for people here and cut when things get too bad. I don't want to have a group like that. I don't. Okay? The only way I'll have a group like that is if people stop listening, start blaming, make threats to other people, all this sort of bullshit, and make communication possible. I don't care if you believe in a certain religion. I don't care if you believe in hate. I care about how that helps you be a better man. And within that, let me just get back to this. Men's excellence has many different roads. To be a great man, of what I've seen in 15 years of coaching, there could be a guy that's ultra conservative. There could be a guy that's ultra liberal. There could be a guy that's Muslim. There could be a guy from Malaysia. There could be a guy who is embedded into Vietnamese culture but lives in Westminster, California, and find excellence. I want to hear about the excellence. I want to hear about how you did it. I want to hear about how the problems that you had made you better. The last thing that I want to do is have to talk about how unique my individuality is, that it's so important and gives me such insight that it can discredit your road to excellence. And when that happens too much, man, I'll give you a chance. I'll give you a chance. But if you can't do it, you get the boot. Pay attention here, guys. I mean, Jesus. We have somebody on here going through clearly a divorce and custody battle that's hurt, and it's ridiculous. It gets annoying. Sorry, but dude, grow up. Fix your problem. I had it. I mean, I had it really bad. You have it really bad. It ended up working out better. How do you solve it? You are welcome here. You're still going to be told to grow up or whatever, and let's not buy into and co-sign your BS, but like, you are welcome here. Attack other people, call other people out, share other people's private information, man, you're out of here. All right, that's enough of that. I think you guys get it. All right, happy Thursday. I'm about to interview Hans. Got a phone consult. Man, let's get back to work and like do good stuff. Right. Let's populate this board a little bit more. Let me know what you want to see more of. And man, I love it too. Just being able to do these lives and whatever, and blah 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 blah, and then you can edit, put a quick edit on them, put them on YouTube. Anything that can make things easier. All right, guys. If you want to step things up also to our calls, we got a bunch of those. Check out the Rebuild Challenge. There'll be a link somewhere wherever you see this. And that's the best way to get involved. Guys, thank you so much. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it good. And remember, men's development. Your excellence, you kicking ass, you doing better. Look at this, man. Jim calling me right now, wrecking my podcast. He just made a comment on that in the calls right before. But you guys, men's excellence. It knows many different ways, and we want to hear and talk about that story. Got it? Good. All right, let's get to work. Hey, Jim.
Hey, bro.
Dude, I'm doing a podcast. You're ruining it. How's that make you feel?
Oh, so much better. I really missed a golden opportunity last night. All right.
Well, you got it today. All right.
Call me back.
Go fuck yourself. Bye.